Well, I almost did it again.
Look who it is. Oh, what did you do?
I almost started the show without going live, and you and I would have been talking to nobody.
Much like it probably actually is. You know, I mean,
it's true. Yeah, that's true.
You know, we're only doing this video stuff so Mom can see us and that we can see each other.
That's true.
You know, or this isn't for other people.
That's true.
It certainly isn't for the podcast listeners, of which there are legion. I am told.
Yeah, we're growing.
Huge numbers coming in. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. You must be keeping all the money we're making because
I'm putting it right back in the show.
Oh, okay, right. It's good production values.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I see. It's lovely. I spent $52,000 on that Charles Chaplin the Kid poster behind me.
I would believe it.
Yeah,
I would believe it. You have a very swank looking place. What can I say? It's much nicer. I mean, I'm just like in a cubby hole.
This is I'm house sitting for my department chair. So,
well, he has a nice place.
Yeah,
or she has a nice place. That's nice.
It's quite lovely. I'm gonna have a sip of this.
What kind of beer? What is that? Why don't you be an influencer and tell everybody what kind of beer you're drinking?
Okay, yeah. This is Sierra Nevada Dankful IPA.
Is that a new name for a new beer, or is it?
I think Dankful is a new release of theirs. Okay. It's a danky IPA, and it's pretty good. It's refreshing.
Water. Having some water.
Wow. Well, you know what W.C. Fields said about that. So
yep, I do. I do.
How was your week?
It's been the same. I'm an editing machine, and I sit here and edit right where you see me. I haven't moved all day. I've been doing various things in front of this same computer all day long. I have no discernible life outside of the digital existence now. It's terrible.
Wow. You're going to be like Johnny Depp in that movie where he becomes part of the computer eventually.
Oh, Transcendence or whatever. Transcendent, yeah,
whatever that was.
That was a great one.
Oh boy,
that was a good time.
Yeah, wild ride.
How about yourself? Did you have a good week?
Had a good week, yeah. Moving forward slowly on the booze business, little things falling into place there. My own editing, which, as you know, is literary, not technical film stuff, but novels. A lot of that. Finished a very interesting fantasy novel. Working on that, and also took some time to read a book by an author I had never read before, and I don't know why I have never read this guy's work, and I am going to read more of it. A gentleman by the name of Donald Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
Who wrote about a character named Matt Helm. I don't know if you've heard of that character.
Well, I have now. What can I say? I think if I was going to read the book, I should have done it before seeing the film, probably.
Yeah, because to read this book and then watch this movie is like reading The Once and Future King, right?
Yeah.
Right, which is a great book. You read The Once and Future King, and then somebody says they made a movie out of this, and you say, "Oh, great! I'd like to see this movie," and then you watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It's like that is the difference between the Matt Helm novels and the movie The Silencers.
I'm going to come to a screeching halt right away, because if you're comparing this movie to anything that Monty Python did,
well, no,
we're going to get into a raging fight.
No. I'm not comparing. I'm not putting this in the same realm as that. I'm just
Okay.
talking about
Can we say like instead? Can we say like something along the lines of like the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, or
right,
something?
or just like, well, I was trying to think of movies from actual books. So like the Bible, The Life of Brian. Right. There's a big difference between those two.
I got you.
Stories.
I got you.
Unrecognizable.
So you're saying like is the Matt Helm book or the books they're serious and they're not
very serious.
Comedic?
They are not comedic at all. They are dry as a bone. In Death of a Citizen, which is the first Matt Helm novel, Matt Helm is it takes place in 1960. He is a married fellow in Santa Fe, New Mexico, with 3 children and a lovely wife, and he leads a very sedate existence as a author, writing Western, not very good Western novels that earn him a decent living, and articles for nature magazines, and then is contacted by somebody he worked with during World War II, where he was part of a crack assassination unit that went behind enemy lines and took out Nazis who needed to be taken out. And after the war, he left all that behind and is living a nice little life. And he gets sucked back in unwillingly into that world.
Well, that couldn't be more different. Oh my God.
And he is just a merciless, this merciless person lives underneath this exterior that he's created for himself, and it comes back to life. So it's similar to A History of Violence in a way, except instead of having a history of organized crime, he had a history with a unit of undercover assassins.
I don't know how they get to the silencers from there. I don't know how you do it.
It's like they said, can we buy your book and use the name?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Forgive me. I'm going to be right back. Literally in a second. I'll be within earshot. I've been staring at the screen all day. I need to put on some Dean Martin glasses or I can't make it.
I'm going to talk to the people.
I'll be right here.
You're still here?
I gotta pick the right ones.
Okay. This reminds me of a time when I was doing a production of 1,000 Clowns once.
All right, thank you. Forgive me. This just had to happen. Oh, that's so much better.
I did a production of 1,000 Clowns once, and I left one of the other actors alone on stage because somebody had forgotten to set my costume on stage that I needed to change into. So I couldn't find it, and I looked at the other actor and said, "I'll be right back," and walked off stage.
As I recall, the other actor was a child.
He's about 11 years old.
A small child.
Yeah, he still has not recovered.
No, he's not working, and he hasn't worked as an actor since. It was the worst thing that ever happened to him. Oh, that's so much better, and I look so much more ready to talk about The Silencers.
The Silencers, 1966, starring Dean Martin, Stella Stevens, Victor Buono.
Yep.
As Mickey Rooney. Victor Buono as Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's. And who else? There's some actually.
Well, there's some. Robert Webber, Sid Charisse,
James
Gregory.
James Gregory is spectacular. So happy every time I see him.
Yeah, I mean he's just a curmudgeon. He's the most curmudgeonly man.
Yeah,
the sourest, dourest, most disappointed man.
Yes. So the Silencers. Dean Martin plays a spy with a group called, strangely, ICE. He works for ICE, which is intelligence and counterespionage, and he's on leave. He wants to be on leave, but he gets pulled back in to save the world from the evil Tung Tse, played by Victor Buono, who has a plot to basically commandeer a missile launch and blanket the United States in nuclear fallout. And that's our story. And good night. Thank you. I'll show myself out.
How did you feel about yourself having chosen this film once you saw it? Did you feel good about yourself and about the choices that you'd made that brought you to this place?
Oh, well, here's what I have to say. First of all, let's just acknowledge that everything about this movie is wrong in every possible way, including everything morally, in terms of race, sexual relations, and all of that. It represents the absolute worst of the 60s in that respect. I saw this movie when it came out at the age of 6 years old.
Oh, no.
And at the age of 6, you think that's what being a real man is.
Right.
And
you couldn't wait. You were like, this is going to be great.
I want that bed that he has. And
yeah.
Like when I grow up, that's what I want to happen to me.
Yeah.
It didn't. I don't know if you know this. It actually didn't turn out that way for me. My life bore no relation to his life.
However, I wouldn't know if you were a spy, which I've often thought maybe you were, because you have a very clean cut kind of thing about you. You wouldn't tell me. You might have that whole setup and not tell me. And be like, oh no, I'm gonna be sublet in this place for a while, and secretly you have, you've got the Bond layer somewhere.
Yeah. You're the one who goes and does jobs and disappears, and you can't tell anybody where you are for 3 days.
That was my old life.
Oh,
that's all in the past for me. I don't do that stuff anymore, man.
Oh, okay. But the thing that's amazing is that this book, Donald Hamilton, his prose is so dry and really, it's bare bones, violent, gritty prose. And he wrote Death of a Citizen, which was the first one, The Silencers, which somehow they say this movie is based on those two books. I don't see how. I've only read Death of a Citizen. And then there's another 25 Matt Helm novels.
He wrote 25 Matt Helm novels.
He wrote 27 altogether. And you know me, I'm now going to read all of them, the way I read all of the Matt Scudder novels, the way by Lawrence Block, the way I read all of the John D. MacDonald, Travis McGee novels. I'm now going to burn through the Matt Helms. The books, not the movies, because there are 3 more Matt Helm movies. I'm sorry to say.
There's I don't know if it's the one after this or the 2 films later, but it was celebrated in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yes. One of the sequels to this film.
Right.
And it's been was that why you chose this to watch?
No, I'm not that smart or sophisticated or subtle.
Oh, okay.
I chose it because I was in my brain, the 6-year-old child, a huge impression was made on my 6-year-old brain by the opening sequence, which was much cooler to a 6-year-old than it was to me now. The opening sequence where he wakes up in bed and he presses the button and the wall opens and the bed slides.
Oh, that opening sequence, because there's another opening sequence, which is 3 women strip teasing in the titles.
Yes.
Which clearly made no impression on you as a kid.
Well,
judging from your current personality traits.
Thank you so much. And then the other thing that I remember thinking was just so high tech and cool was the big shootout at the end in O headquarters with the exploding buttons and the gun that if you press a button, the gun shoots backwards. All that stuff to a 6-year-old was really cool super spy stuff I think at 6 years old, I wasn't able to differentiate between that and the Bond cool stuff, you know, the Aston Martin and the shoes with the knives and Get Smart's shoe phone. All those things were just so slick to a 6-year-old.
Right. Which, of course, was the target demographic here that we're talking about.
Well, except for the striptease stuff, I'm hoping.
And the constant drinking and smoking and
drinking
sexual
and driving.
Escapades.
Yeah, and the drinking while driving.
It's everything that you could do wrong, they did.
Yeah. So where do you want to begin? Because I feel like we should bring some order to our discussion of what was wrong with this movie rather than just scattershot repartee.
What was wrong with this movie? Gosh.
They made it.
Yeah, they made it. They said yes. Well, let's talk about what's amazing about it first, which is that there is something really amazing about seeing a probably inebriated Dean Martin like making a movie on a break from his Vegas jobs, you know, because playing Vegas at that time that's what it was all about. Like the Rat Pack was ruling Vegas in the 60s, as you know. And so I was just thinking about what his life was like headlining in Vegas over the weekend and then jetting back to LA on a red eye from after, doing amphetamines with his friends to shoot a couple of scenes and then try to cram some lines and just not really get them, but not really care. The whole scene. You
got the sense when you were watching this that he didn't really care and invest in.
Look, I like Dean Martin. I think he's been great in a few movies, but I've never seen a lazier movie in general than this.
No, it was astoundingly lazy.
It's just so lazy. I mean, I don't mind ridiculous comedies, but I mean, I think the thing I realized was that this is what I thought the President's Analyst was going to be.
Me too.
And was really surprised that it was not at all this, so I'd say, like, if you like this kind of thing, but want to see something with some smarts, see The President's Analyst over this movie. I really honestly felt this was kind of a waste of my time. Like, this could have been a supercut. You could see a supercut of this movie in about 15, 20 minutes and get all the fun moments and ridiculous stuff and get the plot and get everything, and then you'd get it. But I mean, none of the gags worked to me. Nothing was landing. Nothing was landing. It was kind of rough.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to have a fun, ridiculous time, and I don't want to be hard on it because I know that it's just a ridiculous. They knew it was ridiculous, but they didn't even. It seems like they just were drunk and didn't get up in the morning and shoot. Like, they just didn't care.
Yeah, and they didn't even do the ridiculous well.
No.
I mean, even things like the moment in the car when she turns on the radio and it's Frank Sinatra singing "Come Fly With Me," and he says, "Change the channel, that guy's terrible."
Yeah, it could have been a good gag.
Changes the channel and it's him, and he nods like, "Oh, that guy's pretty good." It didn't work.
It didn't work, but it also is coming after the weirdest. Okay, it's got a few of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It's notably strange, this film. And one of the weird things in it is that Dean Martin songs, there's like 6 of them in this movie. Like there are just musical interludes where you'll see him like in his apartment getting ready for his day, whatever, and there's a song playing. And it's a Dean Martin song. And you're like,
with the words rewritten to fit the movie, though.
Oh, see, I didn't even know because I'm
Yeah,
not as big a
they
Dino fan.
rewrite the words to things like it happened in Monaco a long time ago. The song what I have some of the songs written down. Song of the South, Empty Saddles in the Old Corral, The Last Roundup, If You Knew Susie, and they changed the words to fit,
Okay.
but not in a witty way.
Not witty. None of
Not
this was
witty at
witty.
all.
None of it was witty.
And then the obvious attempt to make it sort of James Bond-ish, but not in a good way. Lovey miscraves it.
Every joke, every attempt at humor fell just completely on its face.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know what to say about Stella Stevens' performance. I don't know what to say about anybody.
Okay, wait. Hold on, though. The rain sequence, comedy genius. Come on.
Matthew's talking about a sequence where they're driving and have a narrowly escaped death in his fancy like transforming station wagon. He's got a Ford station wagon,
yeah,
which has a bed in it and a bar and it has windows that come up and down, and it's like fancy leather interior inside in this crappy station wagon. And which I guess could have been funny, but again, like there's no real attempt at making it work. Anyway, she gets drunk and he kind of gets her drunk, which is another theme in this film, which is completely reprehensible. And he gets her drunk and she refuses him, but then for some reason gets out of the car in the rain. I don't know why, and can't get back in. And there's craziness ensues, Matthew. It's crazy because she gets wet. And
she
then
falls down in the mud.
You're literally waiting for about 30 seconds where you're going, well, okay, there's the pit of mud behind her.
Yeah.
Slowly going backwards.
She's going to fall in that.
Incredibly obvious.
Yes.
Then she gets back in the car, and then he seduces her in the car after she's drunk and shivering and cold and miserable.
Yeah.
Where would you like to begin? Would you like to begin there, or in the opening dream sequence where he is dreaming in bed and having a very private time, let's say,
with himself, and
he's naked in bed dreaming like a 13-year-old boy about these ridiculously clad women.
Yeah. Three different women singing three different songs of his.
You just are off the rails immediately on this one. Just right away. Right the hell away. It's like it smells like the worst of the Hollywood good old boy network. It just doesn't feel clean. Nothing about this movie feels clean.
No.
Can I ask you?
I mean, what's interesting is that in the Bond movies, there's a lot of similar stuff in the Bond movies, and yet they do it in a way that makes it work somehow.
Well, maybe ask a lady if that's true.
Well, I don't mean work like morally okay, but they certainly pull it off in a more entertaining.
Look, maybe about half the time. I mean, there's a lot of Bond that's pretty dismal. That's terrible. I'm sure people are going to love me saying that, but it's true. There's a lot of it that's just bad. The good Bond, the good Bond is good. I mean, who can argue? I'll watch Bond, like a good old Bond movie. I wasn't saying I wasn't personally, oh my God, offended by this, but there were things in it that I'm like, oh my God, it is offensive. I wasn't necessarily offended, but it is offensive.
No question. Victor Buono's performance and the yellow face.
I'll tell you, it's really bothersome, man. I mean, it really what's Yeah, it's really upsetting.
Um,
And you know, and honestly, it's upsetting for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's upsetting obviously because it's racist and it's messed up. But it's also it's upsetting because it's just ill thought out and poorly conceived and done, and in every other way too. Like that whole character.
okay. Can we? Is there anything in the movie that is praiseworthy?
Well, yes, I have a list of best and worst things.
Well, of course.
And the list of best things means these are the best things in the movie. And the list of worst things means the worst things that ever happened.
Okay.
If you can see the difference in the meanings of the lists.
Yeah. Meaning the best things are still bad.
The best things are not necessarily good, but they're just the best things in this movie.
Okay.
So okay, I have a favorite thing in this movie.
All right.
And, which is a favorite in this case. It's a character, a person, but there's so few things that are good that I might as well just say thing because it keeps it a little more honest.
Okay.
Do you know? Can you guess what my favorite? Like unironically, the thing that I'm like, I like that. That is good. I want to see more of that, please.
Wow.
Other than, lingerie.
Other than lingerie. No, I can't.
Robert Webber.
Oh, well, yes. Robert Webber's fantastic.
Robert Webber playing the organ by the piano by the pool. I could watch all night long. That was fantastic.
Took me a long time to figure out that that's what was happening.
There's no there's no piano.
Right. Because he's sitting next to Stella Stevens and he's just going. And I'm like thinking, why is he moving great. Like that? Why is he doing that? And then suddenly I realized that very faintly I can hear organ music.
Yeah.
And he's playing the organ.
He's playing a Moog organ. That was great. I love Robert Webber. I think he's
Robert
awesome.
Webber's death is
great.
Priceless.
It was really good.
Not being able to figure out that he's shot himself.
So he does it again.
Gun. So he does it again after a long time, though. Like it takes him a long time staring and then blows a big hole in himself again.
It's great. Yeah. So, best things about it all have to do with Robert Webber. I loved Robert Webber. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia?
No.
Well, we could do that movie on this show, and he's in that, and that's great. That's great
He
stuff.
has another great moment in this, though, which is when Sid Charisse gets shot and is dying, and Dahlia Levi or Levi, however you pronounce her name, Lavi, Dahlia Lavi.
Right, I think that's it.
It gets to her, and Robert Webber picks her up and throws her across the stage.
Yeah,
that was. I'm hoping that was a stunt person, because whoever that was kind of went flying.
Didn't look like they weren't taking care of the ladies in any other respect on this one. They didn't seem to be checking see how they were feeling most of the time. I think now, speaking of this, is an appropriate time to ask you,
am I sorry?
Who in this movie? No, I know you're sorry, and you're gonna pay. But who in this movie, making this movie, who behind the scenes had it in for Sid Charisse this bad?
Oh my God!
What happened here? Because when she came out, I was excited because I love Sid Charisse. She's an incredible dancer. She was I think probably responsible for me realizing something about sexuality as a young man. And what was it? What's the movie
American in Paris?
American in Paris, yeah. And it's like this. She's just this iconic, famous person, and to see her, let's just say that she's wearing a leotard made of black hole penises is the only way that I can describe it.
Wait, what? What? Black hole penises?
It's like a leotard with like 100 penises on it. It is the most outrageously messed up thing I've ever seen.
Oh, I have to pull that up now.
You don't remember seeing this? What do you,
Tony? I was watching the choreography.
Okay. Why would anybody do this to Sid Charisse?
I don't know.
Please, if you're at home listening, just please Google Sid Charisse. Well, maybe don't Google penis tassel leotard. But
oh my god! Oh my god!
Where didn't you see this in the movie?
Oh yes, I did. I did see it in the movie, but
Amelia and I were sitting on the couch just going, why do they hate Sid Charisse? What did she do? She pissed somebody off. Like, must have. Because that's the most disgust, like offensive, like, well, screw you. We're putting you in that then.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So there's that.
I'm sorry I picked this movie.
Don't please. This is we needed to face this. This is a part of our culture. We had, we're, being white dudes, we've got to own up to this part of our history and our culture, man. This is bad. You went to see this when you were a child. This formed you. You need to atone for this.
6 years old. Yeah.
Not good.
The car. Okay. Here's a moment. I will praise. There's one other thing I will praise about this film. The car coming out of the back of the semi. That stunt.
Great stunt.
Good stunt. And some of the driving until they started getting to the sped up stuff.
Yes.
Some of the driving was pretty impressive.
You're looking at my notes, man.
For 66.
I was like, the second unit stunt driving on that highway is the best movie making in the movie.
Yeah.
It's all the B team, and they did a great job. They were like, they hired a really good team of people to make that stuff look good. And so ironically, it's all the stuff that's, for instance, being projected in the back of that, rear screen projection crap with Dino and his, and the drunk lady in the car, Stella Stevens. That's the stuff that's projected behind them, and they look terrible. This movie is just off. It's so badly shot and lit, and the sets look like paper. I'm just, what, really?
Okay. There is another actor we have to call out. Roger C. Carmel.
Why do we have to do that?
Because he's the best.
No, he's pretty great.
One of the best episodes of Star Trek, Mud's Women.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was very big on. He had one of the most famous episodes of Star Trek.
Well, he was in every television show in history.
And with that guy can sport that handlebar mustache and play that thing that he does so well. So I was happy to see him. But do you have any? I have a couple of favorite lines actually that will live, that you'll be hearing throughout the rest of our lives.
I already heard them. You don't have, I saw the movie.
Yeah, but there are things that I will say to you in the future. One of them is tongue say to Wigman, tongue say to Wigman, tongue say to Wigman, which was pretty great.
Okay.
But the winning line was, congratulations, tongue say, on the latest missile disaster.
That was a funny line. That is a funny line.
But did they mean it to be funny?
I'll give him that. I'm sure there was 5 writers in the back room throwing jokes around the Dino had in his trailer. He was like, "Hey, hey, Big Jim, throw us a joke." Sad. All right, I'm going to tell you something else I liked.
All right.
There's one in a movie full of like fighting that wouldn't be on Star Trek. Like talk about Star Trek. The fighting in this wouldn't ever be on Star Trek.
No.
They wouldn't deign to have it in there. But there is one great slide across the garage floor, karate kick to the groin that he does. That's just great. It's a good shot. Happens in one shot. It's kind of nice. Dino actually does it. I think that worked.
That was probably by accident. He was probably drunk and he tripped, and they caught it on film.
They put his knees on roller skates and they threw him across the room. So I got that. I also think that I really liked his yellow turtleneck and his tan suede jacket when he went skeet shooting. I thought that was great.
Wow.
Those are the things I liked.
I feel really bad because it's so bad that there's almost nothing to talk about.
It's kind of how I felt. It is too bad. Because there's nothing to care about. To me, it doesn't make a list of like crazy bad, like so bad it's good. What the hell's happened here? Movies, because it's just too lazy. They didn't care making it. They really didn't. And it's poorly edited. The jokes just don't work. It looks like a first draft of bad writing.
Actually, you've hit on something interesting, I think, though, not about this movie, but about bad movies and what makes a bad movie good and fun to talk about. And the idea that you could make a movie as bad as this one, but if you really cared and you were really trying to make a good movie and it came out this bad, then it might be really entertaining and fun to talk about.
I think so.
But what you're hitting on, I guess, is that there's almost this feeling watching this movie of being disrespected by the movie makers.
Yeah.
That they did not even care about what they were doing. They were truly just, let's churn this out and we'll make some money.
Yeah. And it seems like an excuse, just like, we'll get together, hang out, get drunk on the set. It's going to be easy. Like it's all going to be.
They don't even seem like they had fun making it, though.
No, not particularly. Well, it seems like it seems like a not very interesting group of dudes who like to drink during work did it. It's like they didn't have fun because they would never have fun. I don't think these people would know how to, other than Dino, who, I don't know, maybe he, well, look, these were successes. He made 5 of these movies. That's what's so crazy. I mean,
it's hard to imagine that they made more after this one.
Can we, or do you want to start, do we go into like the worst cheap sets you've seen? Or do you want to talk about the sound, like the worst sound effects you've heard in a movie?
Because it's all horrible.
The giant farting laser at the end is like, why? Honestly, you guys, you can do better than this. You can really do better.
The giant farting laser,
the whistling bombs, like it really drove me crazy. And immediately it's rough because the first thing is a helicopter shot in the beginning. That's just like just awful. No one cared. No, the only person who cared was Robert Webber because he looked like he was really trying to play that piano, and there wasn't one, but he was doing his best. It's not good-hearted. I think that's what it is. It really isn't. It's not. It's like there's some movies from that period that are kind of off key for today, and they're a little like, all right, this isn't cool anymore. But to go to a place that's as literally like as bad, if not worse than, well, not worse, but as bad as Breakfast at Tiffany's on the racist, in the racist area, and then the misogyny on display. And admittedly there are some drunk misogynistic movies that are lighthearted about it, or at least something. This just felt like curvy and weird and grim. Like, just, he was clearly too old for these ladies, and he was getting them drunk, and he was smirking at them, and it I don't know, man. Maybe
I feel so bad now. I was 6.
well, you didn't make the movie. I hope.
I didn't make the movie.
Although if you had made it when you were 6, it would explain a lot.
About the movie?
Yeah,
or
about the movie. I'd understand a lot of things about it.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it was bad. It was bad.
I mean, I can understand Dino showing up hungover because he's got his schedule. I mean, and that's not a joke. Like, he was performing every night in Vegas, I'm sure, when he shot this. Like, that's what he was doing back then. So I'll give him a pass for looking like he's half awake and whatever. He's Dino. He can do what he wants. And I'm sure, being a man who, like, has got, Rio Bravo under his belt and other great films, knows when he has to care. Like, knows when it's like, he probably showed up. He was like, I'm not the only guy that's going to care. Like, if you all don't care, I don't care.
Right.
I could see that happening. But just lazy, man.
Yeah.
And mean-spirited.
Well, there's another thing I feel bad about, though.
Great. Because this obviously is where we're. Bet Bowles watched a movie called, she watched Spider Baby.
Thinking that's what we were going to do this week.
We should then cover Spider Baby next week.
So, Bet, we are going to make it up to you.
Bet, I'm sorry that was confusing. I realize now it probably was. But yeah, Spider Baby definitely will be the next thing we do.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to hear what you think, Bet. I can't wait to see it again, see if my opinion's changed.
And I've never seen it. What movie was it that we watched where Spider Baby came up? That it made it onto our list because it came up in some discussion of some other movie.
Trying to remember, this was a while ago.
A while ago.
I think you just saw. I thought you just saw the title and said, let's see Spider Baby," kind of joking, and I was like, "Yes, let's definitely see Spider Baby."
Okay. So we're going to do Spider Baby.
Maybe we were talking about Faster Pussycat Kill Kill.
Maybe.
Because you don't know. Hold on. What's wrong? Don't be depressed.
This just feels so bad.
I don't like how this feels either, but we're going to get through it.
Together.
You don't know. I think her name is Turi Satana. You don't know her because you haven't seen Faster Pussycat. Well, she's great. That we could do. We could do Spider Baby, Faster Pussycat, and then get into Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, well, we have 2 more weeks in this month, so we're going to do a Burt Reynolds August.
I don't know, man. This one is just hard to talk about. Literally,
yeah, it is.
It's hard to talk about.
Let's talk about other things.
No, before we stop, I do want to say, Dahlia Lavi, great. She was great. There were a lot of I wasn't crazy about what Stella Stevens did. Don't think she's a comedic genius.
No.
But I thought Nancy Kovac was great. Sid Charisse obviously was poorly dressed, but great. And there were a lot of women who probably I'm not naming who gave their talent. They danced, they sang, they were half naked doing strip teases, all like, making money and doing the job that they got. And it was they all should be at least applauded for getting through it. It was appalling.
It was appalling. So to try and lift the mood a little bit and talk about something with some quality to bring us up. I am watching 2 things now that are pretty darn good. Hacks, which is Gene Smart's show on HBO Max. Have you watched any of that?
No, I have not seen it yet.
She's pretty terrific.
Love her.
Very good.
Love her.
Very good. And then a very, very, very dark show called Tell Me Your Secrets.
Oh, is this the Finlandian show about the murderers?
No. That was the Valhalla murders.
Oh, right.
Tell Me Your Secrets is Lily Rabe as a woman who was in a relationship with a serial killer and ends up in prison for a while and then comes out of prison into witness protection. And has but one of the mothers of one of the victims starts looking for her. Amy Brenneman is the mother of somebody who they think is a victim of this guy, but she's still missing. And Amy Brenneman insists that she's still alive, so she's looking for the woman in witness protection, and it's sort of unrelentingly dark, but very well done and very disturbing.
What's that one called again?
That's called Tell Me Your Secrets.
Okay.
Hamish Linklater is in it as well.
Gesundheit. I watched a couple of things. I watched Fear Street. What was it? Fear Street 1994 and Fear Street 1976 or something. Seen those horror movies on Netflix that are like based on the R.L. Stine books?
Oh, okay. Fear Street.
I didn't know R.L. Stine had that much hyper violence and crazy sex and nudity in it.
Isn't he Goosebumps? R.L.
Yes,
Stine?
he is. There's plenty of Goosebumps, let me tell you, of all kinds.
But I guess this is stuff that he wrote for older folks, because I don't think there's nudity and stuff in the Goosebumps series. That's for kids.
Well, all I know is that it's based on R.L. Stine. I don't know if it's Goosebumps, but it's for teens anyway. It's teen stuff.
They good? Are they worth watching?
For what they are, they're very entertaining. Yeah,
okay,
I mean they're Fear Street. Yeah,
maybe I'll watch that tonight.
They're entertaining. They're in the realm of like I guess you could say it's kind of like Stranger Things of horror. You know?
Oh, great. Okay, I'm gonna watch.
So it's very nostalgia drenched and you know, and kind of fun.
A lot of references. The first movie is very much like got a lot of Scream references and stuff like horror from the 90s, and the second one in 75, like the one in the 90s, takes place in a suburban town, like a Stephen King like town. The one in the 70s takes place at a sleepaway camp. There's a third one too, which I haven't seen yet. Those are fun. And then I did a deep dive into some like art film stuff that I hadn't seen. I had not seen a film called Taste of Cherry. It's a film from an Iranian filmmaker named Abbas Kiarostami, who I don't know. I think he's still alive. He had trouble making films in Iran. They kind of made him stop for a while, the government, but in the 90s he was going strong, and he made this incredible movie, which is like just a great example of slow cinema, you know, but very contemplative and beautifully shot and very powerful emotionally by the end of it. So if anybody's out there is really interested in kind of like heavy duty art, not European, but foreign art film, check out this one, Taste of Cherry. It's incredible. Well, I guess we're gonna have to wrap it up a little bit early tonight, because I just picked a loser.
This movie is a wet blanket on life. It really is. You're watching you're watching a thing that nobody who made it really wanted to show up to make it.
I'll just leave you with this though. Here's one thing that I am grateful to this movie for: that it did introduce me to the work of Donald Hamilton.
Okay.
Which is right up my alley. If you are out there and you are somebody who enjoyed the works of John D. MacDonald, the Travis McGee series, any of those old hard-boiled series detective novels, Donald Hamilton and Matt Helm are somebody you should explore. And I'm wondering if people got turned off of him because they thought that the movies bore some relation to the books, which they don't.
He must have been pissed.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into. He also wrote a couple of standalone Western novels that got made into big films. So he was quite prolific and quite successful, and it does not show in these movies. I mean, Matt Helm is much more a Tom Clancy character or a Jason Bourne character from the 60s.
Well, yeah, I mean,
what he's portrayed to be in this film.
Oh, this is a joke. I mean, this is like, you know, it's there were a lot of parodies of Bond back then, and I can't say that I can't say that the whole genre is my favorite. Like I'm not overwhelmingly in love with like James Bond movies and spy stuff and spy gadgetry. That's not my favorite, but I'll watch good ones and love the good ones, I guess, or the ones that I like. But man, the bad ones are really like particularly hard to watch.
Really bad
for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, this honestly makes an episode of Batman from the 60s look like a Fellini movie.
Yeah.
It's that we're talking about that level of care that did not go into making the silencers. When you see literally an episode of Batman or even Gilligan's Island, that's made with more care to the jokes, more refinement in how it's shot. Like literally, I mean, it was very surprising. I was surprised to see a Dean Martin movie that was this shoddy.
Yeah. And
then blown away that they made more of them. I was like, what did people see in this? Because it's also a simple plot because it's one of those movies where they're just going. You don't really ever really know where or why, or they're just on the run. They're getting chased or they're heading after a clue. Yeah. It's all very basic. You're not really missing anything. And yet it's so confusing. I didn't know who anybody was. A lot of the women kind of looked the same in different costumes. So I didn't know who was who half the time. I know.
I do want to give a shout out to whoever did Stella Stevens' wig.
Especially the mud wig in the rain.
The mud wig in the rain. But that was a good wig.
Okay.
That was quite a wig.
I find that to be a strange comment. I don't know if you're being serious.
I am being serious. It was a wig.
It was that. It was that. Yeah. Boy. Really rough, man. Rough going.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll try to do better next week, folks.
Or much worse, so that we can really,
a better movie or a bad movie that is fun.
Thank God you didn't like this.
Oh, it would have been the end of our relationship.
It's hanging by a thread as it is, so we don't need that.
Wow.
Not a chance.
Wow.
I love you like a brother. I love you, brother. All of it.
All right. Well, we'll see you all next week with Spider Baby.
Spider Baby, a much better film. I hope you agree, Bet.
Thank God.
Let us know what you think.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.